Counter-Narrative News, bringing you daily news today on Tuesday the 4th of April 2023. The white settler colonial regime of Israel has conducted its fourth airstrike since last Thursday against Syria, reportedly against the international airport at Damascus and a target just south of Damascus. This airstrike has taken place at the same time that the Russian leadership in Moscow is holding a four-way bilateral conference between the deputy foreign ministers of Turkey, Syria, Iran, and itself. And from this meeting, the Syrian deputy foreign minister Ayman Susan has expressed the Syrian government's demand that the leading NATO state of Turkey ends its occupation of northern Syria. However, the Syrian government is in no position to push this position because, on the one hand, you can see that Israel is bombing Syria with impunity. Israel is a very primary ally of both Turkey and Russia. And on the other hand, the Russians are just pushing Syria into this process of normalizing its relations with Turkey, no matter what the actual demands are of the Syrian people and government in regards to two occupations, facilitated largely actually by the Russian leadership, the US occupation and the Turkish occupation respectively of northern Syria. Also at the same time, an interesting timing in this regards, that the USA has claimed that it's killed a senior Daesh operative in Syria. And so you can see how the Syrian state and people is just used as a bombing ground and an occupation ground for either Russia, the USA, Turkey, etc. And so what? Syria is absolutely beholden. It's a little piece, it's a little object dangling on a string, held primarily by Russia, but also by Turkey and also by Israel. Very sad state of affairs. Going over to West Africa, some of the biggest cocoa producers in the world are farmers in Ivory Coast and Ghana. And a living wage project called the Living Income Differential, LID, which was implemented in 2019, has seen to be a total failure. It was supposed to bring some kind of ethical payment to the farmers who produce the cocoa bean from which the global consumers enjoy chocolate. However, from 2019 till today, the income of the cocoa farmers has diminished and has not increased, basically because all the other layers of capitalist classes in the global chocolate production do not want their profit margins to decrease by paying the cocoa farmers more money. And this all really points to the general problem of the lack of class demands at the base of these working class farmers of cocoa production. They're not able to have a movement or a state that protects their rights as the producers of the cocoa bean, which is the main raw material for production into the chocolate industry. So you have this situation whereby Nestle, Ferrero, Lindt, global neo-colonial capitalist companies of chocolate production are continuing to extract their super profits, very nice, thank you very much, while the actual producers of the cocoa bean are increasingly impoverished. And also the environmental impact around this, up to 30% of the production of the cocoa bean, for example, in Ivory Coast is done in nationally protected forests, and a lot of the rainforest cover in West Africa has been destroyed because of this production and the growing of the cocoa bean. And also there's the issue of child labor as well. All of these issues are absolutely not addressed in a just and sustainable and ethical manner. Such is the situation for class struggle in this particular context. And finally, on this day back in 1967, that's the 4th of April, Dr. King, who was a very significant leader of the rights of black people for equality and civil rights in the USA, made his speech denouncing US involvement in the oppression and the occupation and the genocidal presence in the occupation of Vietnam by the US state and its armed forces. He denounced it, and in so doing, really, he places himself on the radical wing of the black struggle for equal rights and liberation. He alienates a lot of his more pro-US state and capitalist allies and shifts towards a more radical direction, but he had to, because this was in a context where Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali became a electrifying figure for black and other anti-war youth in his denunciation that he's not going to go and kill brown people in Vietnam when black people are so oppressed in the US, that his fight is in the US against the white supremacist state. And so Dr. King was increasingly under pressure, under a moral and ethical pressure, to take the correct line in regards to the black class struggle in the US, and connecting it with the anti-colonial burgeoning politics and inspiration that the Vietnamese really led. Counter-narrative news, wishing everyone a fantastic day. Please continue to support us. Check out our other videos. There'll be a longer video on Dr. King's speech on Vietnam uploaded a little later today. Please encourage your friends and your contacts to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please consider following us on Twitter at counter_CNN. We wish you a fantastic day.